Thinking of renting a car for the Great Ocean Road? Well, in this video I'm going to show you everything you need to know for both electric and petrol cars, where you can charge or where to find the petrol stations, what is the best driving direction and where to find the free parking in the major towns along the coast, so you can have a swim or surfing without worries, and plenty more tips. But stick around until the end of the video because I will reveal also 2 scams you really want to avoid. So what documents do you need actually to rent a car? Well, first of all, you need to have a passport, of course, then you need to have a driving license, and if your driving license is written in Latin letters, then you're ready to go. But if it's not, for example, it's in Chinese and Arabic language, you need an IDP, an international driving permit, that you can do in your home country for around $20–30 US. And now an important reminder, when you drive your car, always take with you the passport, the driving license and the IDP if required. If the police stops you, it's gonna want to see the lot. And where can you rent your car to drive to the Great Ocean Road? Well, you have 3 options. The cheapest option probably is to rent your car at the main Melbourne airport. That's where you will find the best prices. And you can drive directly from there to the Great Ocean Road. Just try to avoid doing that in the early hours of the morning, which is commuting times, because otherwise you will be trapped into the commuting traffic. The second possibility, if you're staying already in Melbourne, is to rent your car in the Melbourne CBD, in the city centre. And also in that case, try to avoid picking up the car in the early morning or late afternoon, which are the typical commuting time. And the third possibility, especially if you're flying from Sydney, is to arrive in the Avalon airport, which is the second airport of Melbourne. There are not as many flights going there, but usually the tickets is cheaper, and you're also closer to the Great Ocean Road and Geelong. And probably you're gonna save between 1 and 2 hours drive. The drawback of flying to Avalon is that the car rentals tend to be a little bit more expensive than the Melbourne airport or the CBD. What I've been doing for the last 5 years is to use a comparative website, which is a sort of Airbnb of car rentals, where every single provider is ranked between 5 and 10 stars based on the customer feedback, like myself. So I usually filter above 8 stars just to get the most trusted companies, and I book my car from there. And usually also the prices are very competitive, which is a great bonus. I'm gonna leave a link of this website in the video description. You can check it out and see if you can find anything that you may like. I also suggest booking well in advance because you can always cancel for free up to 24 hours before your trip. How long should you plan your itinerary here along the Great Ocean Road when you rent a car? Personally, I suggest at least a couple of nights. That will allow you to drive a car along the Great Ocean Road, stops at the beaches, do some surfing if you like it. You can even have a few walks in the Great Hotaway National Park, waterfalls, so plenty of options besides the 12 Apostles, London Bridge, Lockhart Gorge. So many things actually to experience here, and honestly doing everything with just one night stay is a bit too much. You can book your stay in one of the villages along the Great Ocean Road. My favorite one is Apollo Bay. The other possibility is Port Campbell, which works very well if you want to spend the sunset at the 12 Apostles. And finally there is London, which is probably the most popular of the towns along the Great Ocean Road, especially with people from Melbourne. It's a beautiful town, but you'll be far away from the 12 Apostles. I'm talking here about probably 2 hours and a half. You can also decide to stay in Torquay or Anglesey, but you will be really far away from the best part of the Great Ocean Road. The ultimate destination for the Great Ocean Road is the 12 Apostles, and you can arrive there either along the coast or driving through the countryside, which is a much straightforward route from Geelong and Melbourne. And I highly suggest to take the coastal road on the way to the 12 Apostles from Melbourne, so that you have the ocean on your left side and you can stop in any viewpoint parking area without any issue, and most importantly without crossing the road, which can be actually quite dangerous. And on the way back, for example from Port Campbell, you can take the direct route inland, which is going to save you 1 hour, even 1 hour and a half compared to the coastal road. The petrol stations along the Great Ocean Road are located in the same towns where you find also charging stations, therefore Apollo Bay, Lorne, Port Campbell, and the distance between these towns usually is around 20, 30 or 40k, so you don't need to plan really far in advance for that. Just a short warning here is that the cost of petrol along the Great Ocean Road is usually a little bit higher than you can find in cities like Melbourne or Geelong. So a good tip here is to have a full tank of petrol before you start your trip. Here we are in Apollo Bay, definitely a good place in case you need a charger. That's what we are doing. We actually stay here in Apollo Bay, so it's very easy. There are 4 places where you can charge your vehicle here in Apollo Bay. This is one of them. This is a fast charger, which is probably not as fast as you can imagine, but still is 50 kilowatt per hour. We're gonna leave it here, we're going for the coffee, and then boom, we are ready to go from Apollo Bay to the 12 Apostles. An interesting thing about the charging is that the cost depends on the time when you charge it. I checked this morning, for example, where I could find the chargers here in Apollo Bay, and the cost of this charger was 50 cents per kilowatt. But that was 8:30 in the morning, now 10 a.m. and the cost is 66 cents. So it really depends on the time of the day, the time of the season. So I expect to pay more around Christmas time and much less during the week when you will have less requests of charging and more availability for charging spots as well. And what about the charging apps? Obviously, if you go to a Tesla charger, the Tesla app works perfectly fine. Otherwise, there is always a QR code that you can scan and you can download the app on the go. So very easy going from this point of view. And what about the car rental insurance? I've talked more extensively in my video on renting a car in Australia, which I'm gonna put here in the corner. But briefly, every time you rent a car, this comes with a mandatory third-party liability insurance, which is the TPL. And more often than not, also with the CDW, collision damage waiver, which is gonna limit your out-of-pocket between $500 and $5,000. It may or may not also come with a road assistance, which I highly suggest having it. And for this reason, I typically suggest to do a full insurance, including also road assistance. And on the website I previously suggested, it costs just 15 Australian dollars per day, which is roughly 8 euros or 8 US dollars per day. A great bargain actually, considering the peace of mind that you're gonna have during the trip, because a small scratch or a little bump can cost you up to 1,000 Australian dollars at the end of the trip. And this is not the way you want to finish your holiday, is it? A couple of words about parking in the villages along the Great Ocean Road. Usually you have plenty of them, like you can see here on my back. But you need to check on how many hours you actually have free parking. For example, in this area you have a 2p parking between 8:30 in the morning and 5:30 in the afternoon, which means you can park up to 2 hours during the day. If you need more time, just change your parking spot. There are regular checks, so don't risk a fine because it can be quite pricey. Another interesting thing is that based on the side actually of the street or the road where you park, you may have different rules. Like on that side, close to the beach, is 2 hours. On this side, next to the shopping area, it's just 1 hour. And what do you do if you want to park just for maybe 3-4 hours, go to the beach, enjoy your surf, and don't worry about the 2 hours or 1 hour's parking? Just park the car 1 or 2 streets up, and usually it's unlimited time, but just check every time the sign to be sure. Hey, here I am at the beach of Apollo Bay, one of the best spots actually to learn surfing because the waves are very long and gentle. But I wanted to talk about a couple of things that you really need to pay attention. There are plenty of signs actually about it. The first one, drive on the left. Now, if you're not used to drive on the left, try at least for the first part of the Great Ocean Road to follow other cars. That's the easiest way not to be confused and go on the right side. There are typically signs every viewpoint where you can stop. The second important thing is about the wildlife, mostly about kangaroos and koalas. Especially around sunset time, drive very carefully because they can always come out from the bush. Another important thing is to avoid driving your car between sunset and sunrise, because that's when the wild animals actually come out from the bush. Of course, you can drive inside the village or the towns, but that's pretty much it. This is one of the rules that actually applies to most of Australia. Leave the night for the restaurant, for sleeping, and drive during the day. And by the way, the Great Ocean Road is just not the road along the coast, but you go inlet in the Great Ottaway National Park, and it's absolutely stunning, especially in days like today when it's a little bit misty and there is such huge contrast between the white and the green of the forest. And look at this valley, absolutely stunning, highly suggested. I did it actually with a bicycle a few years ago. It was a great fun, but it was really hard. I still remember it, especially this hike here at the end of the valley. And what about the traffic along the Great Ocean Road? Usually it's very easy going, unless you drive there on absolutely peak summertime, if it is around Christmas and New Year's Eve. That's when everywhere is gonna be booked out. Also, the sunny, warm weekends in January can be really busy, especially because it's a school holiday time as well as Eastern time. Avoid that, and the drive along the Great Ocean Road is gonna be an amazing experience without as many people around, especially if you do the drive during the week and not in the weekends. Obviously, if you come to the Great Ocean Road, you need to stop at the 12 Apostles, which is probably the most notable and the most known place on this beautiful road. Don't expect to be alone, of course, because it can be very busy. In fact, the busiest time during the day is usually sunset, when it can be really crowded. Just be aware that there is no charging station in the parking area, but if you drive just 10-15 minutes down to Port Campbell, there is a supercharger there from Tesla, so it's very handy. And Port Campbell has a fantastic beach, a little bit of the inland, so usually much calmer. It's perfect if you're traveling with kids. Is it a good idea to rent a car to explore the Great Ocean Road? It's absolutely the best idea, because you can also do it by bus, you can get an organized trip, but you're not going to experience as much as you can do with a car, because you can stop in any viewpoint that you want. You can go, for example, to the Anglesey Golf Centre where you can see the kangaroos, or you can go to the Ottaway National Park to see the koalas. So many things to do, and honestly you'll be pretty limited with an organized trip. So is it better to rent a traditional car or an EV? Well, to be honest with you, there is not much difference. You can find the charging station and petrol stations in the same towns along the Great Ocean Road, so this is not a problem. Of course, there is a little bit of a drawback when you charge your car, because you need to leave it there for at least 1 hour. Meanwhile, in a petrol station, it takes only a few minutes. But in saying that, you can leave a car, go for a coffee, a nice walk in the town, and then pick it up again. Electricity probably costs less than petrol, so you're gonna save a little bit on that side with an EV, but don't think big money. One thing that I noticed lately is that a few car rental companies offer a free upgrade to an upper level EV at no extra cost. And if this happens to you, I would definitely suggest to go for an electric car. And now it's time to reveal the 2 scams that you want to avoid. The first one, which is probably the biggest but also quite rare, is when the car provider tries to charge you for pre-existing scratches or bumps. The best way to avoid it: make as many photos as possible of both of the interior and the exterior of the car when you pick it up. So take a full documentation that you can use as a proof when you drop off your car that the damage was not caused by you. As easy as that. Of course, this is less of a problem if you have a full insurance, but still make the photos, because in this way you're gonna avoid all of the paper documentation that otherwise you have to do when you drop off your car. The second issue, which is a little bit of a scam in my opinion, is when they rent the cars with a limited mileage of maybe 100-150 kilometers. Although they know that you're gonna do the Great Ocean Road, which is by itself around 600 kilometers. So you rent the car for maybe 2 or 3 days, you're gonna end up with excess mileage, and you will have to pay around 20 cents for each kilometer more than the limited mileage. That's absolutely unfair in my opinion. And for this reason, I always suggest to rent a car from a provider that gives you unlimited mileage, especially if you want to visit the national parks around the Great Ocean Road, where you can find beautiful koalas. And now, if you're still with me, I guess you appreciate the effort in making this video, so please take a second to subscribe to the channel and click on the like button, because this means a lot to me. And in saying that, I see you next week with another video about Australia. Ciao, bye bye.